know that you really truly love that person. I know that the love that you feel in your heart for that person is infinite. It just is. It's there. And I also know that you cannot be with that person at this time. And that's okay. People cross our paths for many different reasons. Sometimes it's to act as a bridge for us. And sometimes it's so that we can act as a bridge for them. I've experienced this where I acted as a bridge for a man that I love. And then a couple of years later, he stepped in and acted as a bridge for me. So it was a soul agreement. You know, that's what we mean when we talk about soul contracts. We have these soul agreements, and it's where we honor those contracts for each other. And sometimes in life, the contract comes to an end. And this is where our human side really can struggle. But know that when you're going through a grief, a loss, because truly the end of a marriage, a really important quality relationship in your life is a grieving process. It is a tremendous initiation for your heart and your soul. And it can really take the toll on the human, on the body, on the emotions. But I think it causes us more damage when we feel we have to murder that love, or we have to suffocate or strangle the love we have for that person, because we feel all this passion and love and kindness, and we've nowhere to put it, right? I always say that grief it's carrying a heavy burden of love with nowhere to go, right? We do, when somebody transitions, when somebody dies, we've all this grief. We feel the love that we didn't even realize we had for that person, and we've nowhere to put it. We can't give it to that person, or we think we can't give it to that person because they're not physically around. It's the same with the breakup. It's the same with the divorce. It's the same whether you're grieving a child going off to college, empty nest syndrome. These are all grieving journeys, initiations. But know that if you're going through that, especially as a high sensitive and as somebody who has expanded awareness, you are not experiencing that for no reason. You're going through that so you can find the diamond in the rough of that. And suffice to say, this message is about knowing you can love someone from afar. You can still offer love to somebody who you're no longer in a relationship with, you're no longer living with or married to, or perhaps it's a son or daughter that you don't speak to anymore, or a sibling. You can still love somebody from afar, acknowledging that maybe it's not the healthiest that you're together or around each other, acknowledging that for whatever reason that relationship broke down, and maybe it's just not compatible for whatever reason. You can still choose to know that you don't have to carry the burden or the heaviness of feeling I've all this energy for this person and I cannot give it to them. You can share it, you can send it, you can also just ground that love back into the universe by placing your bare feet on soil, on the earth, and saying to the earth, let me release this love and give the earth, give Mother Gaia some love. We can do this. You can focus in nature on a beautiful tree and ask the tree, place your hands on the tree and ask the tree to relieve you of the overwhelm you're feeling with this grief. Being in nature, your environment, if you can get some time in a location that is organic, that is not citified, it is going to help you tremendously with this. Which is why when we often take excursions or hikes, or we take a few days in the mountains, we come back feeling so relaxed, because by being in nature, it's absorbing all these excess energies. Grief is not a linear journey. It is an initiation that will strike at the most unusual times. You will be walking along years after the event or the loss or the grief, and you will think, I'm fine, I'm doing great. And a song or a smell, something will trigger the memory of the presence of that person in your life. And it will touch on that nerve, that wound again. But what happens is, as time passes and the wound slowly heals up, there comes a time, as we grow, as we learn, as we face the initiation of the loss and what it's here to teach us, there comes a time where the same kind of song or smell will impact us or hit our senses, but it won't affect us the way it did a year ago or 2 years ago. And we'll go, wow, you know, a year or 2 years ago, I couldn't even go past that house, or I couldn't listen to that song for 2 seconds. It was too much, it was too big, it would floor me. And now I'm able to look back with appreciation, with gratitude. I'm able to actually experience that love, because it's infinite, it's always, it simply is. And I'm able to appreciate the beauty of it and how blessed I am to have had that experience with that person. So when I'm grieving my dad, or, you know, and I really feel I'm very at peace with my dad's passing. And I was, when he passed, I was actually on a high for a long time after, because I was tuned into his journey, and his journey was so exciting and so invigorating that I lived off his perspective. You know, as a psychic, I'm able to do that. But then there came a point where the angel said, you know, Aileen, we've got to bring you into your own loss here and your human side of what your father's death is going to teach you. And that knocked me to my knees. But the beautiful thing now is I can listen to his songs. When I hear a Perry Como song, there's a few particular songs, And I Love You So is one of my favourites. He sang that all the time, and he sang that to my mother on their wedding day in front of everybody. And people didn't realise my dad actually had a beautiful voice. He was an amazing singer, but he was a shy man, and he didn't show it off, but he wanted to sing to my mother with the microphone to express his love to her on their wedding day. So he did that. And that was their song, and we played that song at his funeral. So for a long time after, and because my dad sounds so much, I used to say he was the Irish Perry Como, I would actually put that song on, and just because it sounded like him, and he sang all the time, like all through my childhood you'd hear my dad singing in the house. So I would listen to it and bawl and cry and just curl up with the pain of losing him. But now I'm able to, because I've done the work, because I've looked at what that initiation is about when we lose a parent or we lose a grandparent, especially in the bloodline, that has a big initiation impact on us, whether we got along, whether we didn't. Thankfully Dad and I got along very well, but whether you did or not, it doesn't matter. There's a soul connection there. You know, your blood is your blood for a reason. And I can just, like, I felt my dad a few hours ago. I was cooking breakfast and I don't know, I always know when he's around, and I haven't felt him for a while, and I just said, "Hi Dad," and I was chopping up the courgette and I was like, "Hi, how are you? I know you're here. I love you. I love you, James Doyle." And that was it. And it didn't, it doesn't floor you after a while. That doesn't mean that the love got smaller and diminished. It doesn't mean that the loss was diminished. It means that you've learned to manage, you've learned to cope, you've learned to deal with that loss. You've accepted, you've had radical acceptance that, yes, I love this person, but they're not in my physical presence, my life anymore. But I'm okay with that. I can manage that now. And that's really that's what this is all about, Life is about learning new skills, growing and adapting. And the thing is, none of us get away with not being adaptable in life, because we mature, we change, we grow. Our minds change, our consciousness changes, our needs and wants change, our bodies change, our hair changes. Like when I look back at old videos, my hair is like a dark, I was always a kind of a mousy blonde. And, I've got the Doyle white streaks that come in the front, and I'm like, wow, my hair has gotten so white. Like my eyebrows have gotten whiter. Like it's it's part of moving through time in this experience. And none of us could say we're not adaptable, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't adapting. You wouldn't be surviving your life. You wouldn't be thriving. You wouldn't be out doing the things you're doing if you weren't adapting to the constant change that's happening, incrementally. So I wanted to share my thoughts on this, that you can love someone. Perhaps you're going through a divorce. Perhaps you're going through a breakup and you've stumbled across this video. And if it's your first time here, hello, my name is Aveen Mary and I am an angel channel. I am a spiritual teacher. I welcome you here to this safe, sacred space, and I invite you to reflect on the idea that, yeah, I'm always going to love that person. They may not be in my life right now. I may never see them again. Maybe you had a brutal breakup and stuff happened that you're just never going to be in the presence of that person again. That's okay. And know that you don't have to feel that the love you have is overwhelming or a heaviness in you. You can send the love, you can ground the love and give it back to the earth. You can also channel that love into something else. You can put that love into a creative project, into your work. Perhaps you're going to volunteer somewhere and give that love in a new direction. But what I'm saying is, when you just love someone and it's there and it's a powerful instinct in you, but there's no way for you to be with that person, just know that you can still love someone from a distance, from afar. Maybe it's a safety thing. Maybe it's somebody who abused you or was cruel to you. That's a whole other video. But what I'm saying is, remember, you don't have to physically connect and be in the physical experience of someone to love them. Love is an energy, it's a consciousness, it's a state of being. And ultimately, my hope for you is, whatever your loss is or whatever you're grieving, that you can turn that beautiful consciousness and give it to yourself. And you can actually use that as fuel to perhaps do things that you didn't do while you were busy loving and caring for that person. Maybe you neglected yourself, and you can now rechannel. So you can also, instead of sending it out, you can also turn it in, and you can redirect, and you can bring that love into yourself as well. So there's lots of ways we can manage grief. There's lots of ways that we can manage loss. And if you're really struggling with that, and I can be of help to you, check out my website, or you can just send me an email at info@aileendoyle.com. There's a contact form on my website. I'm actually getting a new booking system in, so you'll be able to book very easily. You'll be able to look at the calendar and pick a time and book. And the calendar will adjust to your time zone. So yeah, if you need some assistance, if you need someone to walk you through that grief, you can reach out to me. If you enjoyed this video, please be kind and give me a like, subscribe, and of course, if you want to become a member of Light, join the channel. Become a member, part of the membership, and I will share a lot more with you there. Okay. The light in me, the love in me, recognizes the light and love in you. Bye-bye.